we're going to move on to topic 2.
Okay. So I just, we had this story this morning. The Melania Trump had a big public appearance yesterday, a rare one. She doesn't do too many of these.
Right.
So it was nice to see her and to hear from her. And she was focused on the campaign, on her campaign. You know, most first ladies, they have something. Nancy Reagan, and they're well known, was, you know, was Say No to Drugs and the DARE program. And for Michelle Obama, it was eating healthier and making good choices.
Barbara Bush, literacy.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, they kind of asked her, you know, when the president was running and then he got elected, well, you know, what's your campaign? What do you want to stand for your 4 years at least in office? Maybe it's 8. And she said that she wanted to be have a huge public platform to speak out against cyberbullying. Okay. Now let's just, as we talk about the president and the first lady, I want everyone just to relax for a second, okay? Because we want to get in.
Deep breath.
If you like the president, you may view this story in a different way. If you don't like the president, you might view the story in that way. I just want to take one step back. This is not a political discussion. I just want to get right into what this is the name of her campaign is called Be Best. And it's about putting your best foot forward and your best presence online to be respectful and to not engage in cyberbullying. I think everyone can agree. I hope we agree.
It's an issue in 2018.
That this is an issue that's important, and it's, I think, a great thing for the president's wife, the first lady, to be involved with this, because this is something that we've seen and we report on here on the news can be very detrimental, not just for self-esteem, but ultimately it can result in suicide. It can result in perhaps an element of mass shootings. There's a lot to this. It's a very important subject. But what happened yesterday was, after she spoke out upon this, they gave a pamphlet out to reporters and was distributed online. And that's where we get to the controversy today. So I want to put the two up. People had noticed that what was put out yesterday was very, very similar to something that the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, put out in 2014 during the Obama administration.
They look strikingly similar.
They look very similar, okay? So can we all agree, okay? Forget about who this is about. Can we all agree they kind of look similar? Squint your eyes.
Yes.
It looks exactly
just the
the same.
that are different.
The font.
FTC
Can I play
24,
Vanna White?
Melania Trump 2018.
Right.
I see this difference, and that's about it.
Right. There are differences.
And that's just the evolution from 2014 to 2018 of the tablet.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Okay, so the way that I view this is that this is important, because when you get to the idea of a pamphlet, okay, forget about what the subject is. Let's just say it's anything. Let's just say it's best gardening practices in California in the winter.
Okay.
What goes into the pamphlet is the summation of all this data, expertise. A lot of people are involved with the making of the final document, this pamphlet, for either one of these.
Right.
And so you have to give credit. In academia, you see all the sources. You have to attribute everything. So it's a big body of work, right? And so the problem that I have with this yesterday was, as it was initially billed, we'll get to the second thing that we put in there, it was billed as, this is the First Lady's program, and this is her, essentially, document with the FTC. But the problem is that, as people pointed out, well, it's not necessarily her, it's basically, how much influence did she have on this if it's almost word for word from 2014? So again, I go back to academia, because that's where I'm most comfortable with. If you had two pamphlets summarizing your data, the executive summary, and they were almost word for word the same, but you did not point out that in the beginning, that's a problem.
Definitely.
But,
plagiarism.
Yeah, exactly, for plagiarism. But I don't believe it's direct plagiarism, because let's point out what it is. This pamphlet was by First Lady Melania Trump and the Federal Trade Commission. So there is an acknowledgement of the Federal Trade Commission's work.
Got it.
But after the story went out there, they did change the language. So to me, that is an admission that it was not being sold or presented in the way it was initially, and they changed it to, this document is a Federal Trade Commission booklet promoted by the First Lady, Melania Trump.
Oh, wow.
Now, I think that is important, because, number one, if you do the work, you should get credit for it. In both of these quotes, essentially summarizing the document, it's the Federal Trade Commission that's in both. The First Lady is also in both. But it's putting one before the other in the revision of this, which is an important admission that, essentially, she agrees with everything that was decided upon, presented publicly, and agreed upon, and money and advertising and promoted throughout schools and other places is that this is what we think about this issue. These are the best practices going forward. So nothing has changed. It's just she's promoting what was decided upon back in 2014.
So why is
what's
that
the
a bad
issue
thing?
then? Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing.
Okay.
What I'm saying, though, is that the way that it was sold yesterday may not have been exactly accurate, or it may not have been exactly how things went down. Because, again, to make a revision on something like this, that is an admission that who came up with it and who gets credit for it are two different things in the beginning and in the end. But that's the way that people see it. That's the way that they see it. What do you think about it?
So that is what we want to know from you guys at home. Do you think that this is part 2 of Melania's plagiarism, or do you think, like Rob clearly explained, that maybe it was just a wrong wording of the citation, and now that it's changed,
I think it's
you believe
fine.
her? Okay.
Honestly, only because she's trying to promote something where she wants kids to be their very best. So the bottom line, her platform is great. Yes, she's using things from the past, but again, we're all going to be taking things from the past, using it, paraphrasing it, whatever we're going to be doing. And she even said, this is a statement from the communications director for the White House. After giving a strong speech that was met with standing ovation and positive feedback, the focus from opposition media has been on an education booklet, quote, talking with kids about being online, produced by the FTC in 2009. Mrs. Trump agreed to add Be Best branding and distribute the booklet in an effort to use her platform to amplify the positive message within. As she said in yesterday's speech, she's going to be using the Be Best to promote people and organizations to encourage conversation and replication, and helping the FTC distribute this booklet is just one of the small examples that she's going to be doing. So she's using the FTC and that booklet as a way to promote her platform, in addition to having her platform on being best for all these kids with opioid addictions and just using your best practices online.
Right.
So I don't see an issue with it. That's just my own personal opinion. I don't know what people are saying online.
So right now, we have Noreen Bourget. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but Noreen, we'll talk about what you're saying. You said that, did Melania create this, asking that question? No, somebody on her staff did. Absolutely correct. There's absolutely no way that Melania penned all of this herself. That's why you create this staff. But as a person who is in charge of a pretty large staff, you need to make sure that what's going out the door is a reflection of you and what you stand for. And I think what people are upset about or talking about today is this just looks bad. It took her 16 months to come out with a platform, at least flesh it out. That's one thing. Usually you come out with this pretty soon after your husband is elected. That's one. 2, we already saw the video footage side by side, and I'd love for you guys to see this, of her speech versus Michelle Obama's speech. And when was this? At the convention?
This was at the Republican National Convention.
It was very early
just before the president accepted the nomination.
Correct.
At that time, he was just a candidate.
So if you guys, we're going to refresh your memory on what this sounds like so you can see why people are easily upset by something that Melania Trump produced.
To work hard for them.
The values that you work hard for what you want in life.
For what you want in life.
That your word
is your bond. That you do what you say you're going to do.
Keep your promise.
That you treat people with dignity and respect, because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
So this obviously brings back the memories of back then, because obviously in that moment it was not a good look, and obviously didn't surround herself with the best people, because yes, it's on her, because she's the one that has to be the face of this and stands behind all of her words, but also the team. So you would think that she'd learn a bigger lesson in going forward and moving out the FTC and giving credit where credit is due and all that. I just feel like this one is not as bad and severe as what happened back with Michelle Obama. I feel I see the points you're making, but I also feel like she gave credit to FTC, just, okay, her name was before it versus after. I just feel like it's maybe picking on her a little bit. I think
a lot of people are saying that too.
I think her message is strong. She makes valid points about it, and the FTC is the one who came out with this in the first place. And she is saying, well, can we bring that up? Talking about the thing that was changed.
The citation.
Saying that it's promoted by her.
It's a big difference.
Whether if she's promoting it, I applaud her for that.
Right.
Okay, so now you're promoting it. Or whether it's Melania Trump. What was that first line?
It was them together. She used and versus promoted by.
I don't know. I just think it's a little.
I think the first one is misleading,
Right.
and you think that she actually contributed to some of the words in this document.
Again.
Whereas the second one makes it very clear that the FTC put it out, and then she's just co-signing it.
Right.
So she changed it. So within what, 24 hours when it came out?
It doesn't take but 5 whole seconds for the internet to come up with an opinion.
I'm glad she changed it. I just feel like it's a little aggressive to be picking that apart.
And, you know, she's only made a couple big public appearances and speeches. So when the first one has to do with that,
right,
then it only makes sense to research the second speech and to fact check and figure out what are the points that are being made, what's this brochure. I mean, you could do a Google reverse image search and something like that probably would have come up.
Can we pop that up again? It says by the Federal Trade Commission, or excuse me, by Melania Trump and the Federal Trade Commission.
Correct.
Is that inaccurate? I mean, how do we know that she didn't go in there and change a couple of the terms?
Only because that next part says promoted by.
Let me give you an example.
Either way, but how do we know though? Are we making assumptions?
Let me give you an example, okay?
But no, can we answer that question though? Do we know if she did contribute?
She went back and changed that citation to promoted by. Is a clear indication.
I don't know if it's that clear though.
Oh, it is clear.
It's not clear to me.
Okay, let me give you an example. I do this all the time on the show in weather. I will find a very interesting article. Say there was one not too long ago by the LA Times, and I put it up behind me. So now it's my face, my words. I'm paraphrasing their article, but then what I do is I say, they did the work. Here's the link on my Facebook page.
Yes.
Please read this. I wanted to call.
Give credit where
I wanted to give attention to this.
Yeah.
And that is the second phrase, is that it is an LA Times article being promoted by myself versus
what we do every
hey
day
guys,
in the news.
Here's my story that I want to talk about that the LA Times also did something on.
Correct.
And
that's a big difference. And again, we don't need to pick on her because the issue is so important that I just feel that it's a shame that it's being overshadowed by all of this, because it would have been much easier just to say, hey, if people wanted to criticize this, what are our weak points here? Well, this looks a lot like this other thing.
Right.
Is there a way that we can really totally rebrand this from beginning to end? Can we say, hey, some important work was done in 2014 that we agree with and we want to add to it?
Absolutely.
That's a different way. Again, I don't want this. This doesn't have to be a political thing. If this is a body of work that's based on data and best practices forward, it's not any different than an academic paper. And you have to kind of follow the same rules or at least traditions of that to avoid having something like this overshadow the whole point, which is kids are suffering online and something needs to be done about it.
So Jessica Downey says that she thinks Melania either has no clue what's already been done, so she doesn't know that it's the same, or she just loves the Obamas. Option 2, that's Jessica Downey. Kimberly Morgan says, I will say, if I had a group of people writing for me, I'd need to make sure somebody wasn't plagiarizing before I signed off on it, and that's regardless of political party.
Especially with what happened at the speech before.
Right. People are
that's
but
what
what's
makes
this
it a little,
plagiarizing?
I don't know, because
It just doesn't look bad.
They're talking about going back to the Michelle Obama thing, though. That's what this person's referring to in the plagiarism.
I would say
yes, but this doesn't look
Let me just give you a knee-jerk judgment on this. I would say no directly because it was mentioned in the initial
she didn't say, by Melania Trump, period.
Right, exactly. It's not bald-faced plagiarism. I would say it's not that. But
not
again,
a good look.
But now we're talking about this, and really it could have been a different moment just to kind of, here's the history of where we are with this thing, but I'm going to take it a step further.
I like
taking this conversation a step further.
I hope to see that platform really make some changes.
Really
I want to get back to the focusing of that and hope that she can get through this. Not a good look, and so hopefully strike 2, strike 3, that's on you, Melania. Strike 2 is on you too. I get it. We're sitting here and talking about it.
Or your
all
staff.
the strikes.
Or your staff.
But after your staff, strike 1 is okay, your staff. Strike 2,
Yeah.
okay, your staff. You needed to have double, triple check now going into hopefully no more strikes.
The conversation that I am following closely is one relating to how she is making her platform about cyberbullying, and yet her husband is the king of attacking people on social media platforms. And that juxtaposition and what that looks like going forward. And if she's ever going to come forward, yes, her platform is focused on children, but bullies happen at all ages. We have bullies that show up in our comments on our Facebook Lives. They are at all ages. So I'm interested to see how her platform and the people who support her address this elephant in the room that is her husband and his behavior.
It's a really tricky one, right? Because people who are defending President Trump and going, well, he's a bully because people are a bully to him. People who come out on Twitter and call him names. You talk about Kathy Griffin holding up a severed head of him, a bloody one. That's bullying. That's bullying. Okay,
right, so is it just standing up for yourself?
Is it standing up for yourself? It's going to be tricky because she can really walk that middle ground to say bullying is not appropriate on any side. Yes, you shouldn't start it, but you also shouldn't combat it with bullying, because bullying plus bullying equals more bullying, and it's just not a good thing to be around.
Right.
So again, going forward with her message, she's going to really have to bunker down and say, okay, this is it. I just don't see her doing that. I don't see her doing that, but I hope she does.
She's been through a lot. And Rosalinda Calkins, she says she doesn't hate her, she just feels sorry for her. And then we have a lot of people co-signing this, saying she didn't want her husband to run, she didn't want this. I agree with you, Narneen. Same here, Rosalinda. And I get that. I feel bad for her too. As a woman, no, I'm not married, but can you imagine having all of this information come out about your husband and then still have to maintain this very public appearance? And create a platform helping children. It's just a lot.
Who I feel bad for is her
other
son.
celebrities, though, too. They have to deal with the same thing.
I feel bad
other celebrities.
for the son, though.
Yeah.
You know, he was put into this position. People tend to also kind of come toward him with the bullying, and this could have been why. I mean, this is all just assumption, but could have been a reason why she decided to come to the forefront and say, I'm gonna stand behind this because this isn't fair to my son. But, you know, he hears things about his mom, he hears things about his dad. I mean, every political kid has been in this position. I just feel like for Barron Trump, it's just a bit different. You never hear from him. You rarely see him now. I feel bad for him. I really do in this political climate.
Nareen is really rallying behind Melania here and wants to get her message out that they're two different individuals. She believes that they, oh, I'm sorry, I missed hers. They're two different individuals, and she thought that we wanted women to have equality. She can have her own important issues. She can't control him. Valid. They are absolutely two separate people. I think part of what makes it a little, like an uncomfortable moment is, well, they're married, number one. They're in the White House, and you expect your president and first lady to present this united front of power and moral integrity, a lot of things you expect when you think about the White House in America. And there's something weird about this picture that doesn't quite add up. The colors aren't quite right. So that's what I say to Nareen.
Jessica Dowdy says she didn't want this. Barbara Presley says, I do feel bad for her. She had no choice in this, but did she?
In creating a platform?
No. She had no choice for getting into this first lady role.
Exactly.
She did. I mean, she was married to President Trump before he became president. But I guess the choice would have been like, I don't see him fit to be president, if that's what I'm assuming you're insinuating. Maybe file for divorce and get out of that position. That would have been really risky.
Right.
But she chose to stay in the relationship and take on the role as first lady. So I would say it was ultimately a choice. As females, you do have that choice to get out of a marriage.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so Reggie says, same here, Kim, except, you know, Papa Bear. What did Kim say? Kimberly said, I'm biting my tongue, trying not to go Mama Bear on people.
Oh, yeah. That's because people are mean.
Oh,
They're
are people trolling us in these comments? Well, thank you for joining the conversation anyways.
But I love our little army of viewers.
Yes.
You guys don't play. You will check people who are coming for us, and I love you for that.
Yeah.
Oh, and
look at me. I just go beyond. I don't even see the negative anymore. Is that weird?
I have to give Melania some props.
Okay. Fashion.
Girl.
It's a good segue into the next topic.
That trench coat is everything and a little bit more, and I want it in at least 5 colors, is all I'm saying.
She's stunning.
And was it at the correspondence? No, where did she show up recently in the white? And everyone was like, OMG.
That's when the president of France was in town.
Macron, that's right. Oh, and she walked out with the hat. I mean, her fashion sense is on point.
I would have loved to see what she wore to the Met Ball had she gone last night.
Speaking of which. Hey guys, how about that? Did you like it? Thanks so much for watching, by the way. Click subscribe here or there and just find it.